Hi, welcome everybody. We are here for Design Reflections. It is an engaging series that, as I feel everybody knows who has been following us and who have been following us since long. I am here to introduce another session and a series with, a very eminent architect, which is architect Sumit Malik from Design Consortia. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all also who are wanting to share this time with us and explore and engage with us for a little knowledge share on glass and the beauty and versatility of glass. Today we will be talking about the beauty of glass, exploring its versatility in interior spaces and interior design. Jam is Europe's #1 glass producer, exporting to 150 countries with operations in 14 countries of 4 continents, thus establishing its global presence. They are one of the top 3 global producers of glass in all its main business lines. With 85 years of experience or more in the glass industry and their strong expertise, Jam holds a workforce of almost 22,000 people, earning a revenue of over $3 billion. It's my pleasure to welcome you all today for this engaging series called the live session of Design Reflections, presented by Jam Flat Glass India. As the name suggests, we will be talking about and reflecting over the past, present and future of the role of glass, and also the designers and architects discussing their experiments and experiences with glass and also in the architecture and design industry at large. We will be meeting architect Sumit Malik, and I will give you a little brief about him as we have him with us. I am going to be adding him. I'm just inviting him. We should be able to have architect Sumit Malik soon with us here on the live. We will soon have architect Sumit Malik with us. Let me tell you quickly about architect Sumit Malik before you meet him. Hi, welcome to Design Reflections. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, now
Excited to have you.
quite audible and clear.
Great. So we're very excited to have you today for this engaging live series, and we will be reflecting, like I was telling the audience, about the past, present, or future of glass in design industry, and also about reflecting over the past, present, and future of your life in the design industry, which we are very excited to know about. And let me just give them a little brief about you, and maybe you can take the lead further to elaborate on Design Consortia for us. So you can meet everybody. I would like you to meet architect Sumit Malik, who is a visionary architect and founder of the firm Design Consortia, based in New Delhi, and with a passion for creative design, as we know from him. He designs spaces that seamlessly blend functionality with the sense of the surroundings, which is commendable. He began his journey in 2004 when he graduated from architecture, and we see his work over the past more than 2 decades now. And he has had a remarkable imprint in the high-end residential market, luxury estate homes, commercial structures, and more for us, especially in the North India market and the Indian market at large. He's an avid traveler, so we will know from his travels what what all technologies he's incorporated for us in designs, and he finds inspiration in observing buildings around the world, igniting his profound love for architecture. So great. Welcome to the series. Thank you so much for joining us. And I would like to know from you, anything that you would like to add on to Design Consortia and its wings in the architecture domain?
No, thank you for the lovely introduction. I think you've said more than enough. It feels like an elaborate description of what our journey has been and still carrying on and hopefully carrying on for long. It's an unending development and process. It keeps growing. So
Right,
hopefully,
right. Absolutely. So let's just start with, since you said you were an avid traveler and you got into architecture, observing buildings. So what is the earliest recollection that you have of being intrigued by architecture and design of like a particular space in probably your formative years?
it was my school, and I did my schooling in Delhi, and I think I was in the 10th or 11th standard when I suddenly realized my school has a lot of beautiful smaller spaces compared to some other schools we had been on going for competitions and stuff like that. So how the architect would have created semi-formal spaces and outdoor sitting spaces and galleries, and when we used to go out from classrooms we had these options of sitting at so many different spaces during our lunch break and intervals.
Right.
And suddenly those spaces started to make us feel so comfortable that the questions started popping up in that time. So
Yeah.
I would have to say my school.
Interesting. I mean, I think especially when we are in school, we don't really, observe so many things, and it's interesting for you to kind of pick architecture and design from there, and it's really nice to have you here in the industry. So, any specific area of design and execution that has been your favorite? Like this is your favorite in terms of bringing concept to life. Any specific typology of project and or specific area of design?
Mm, I would have to say I'm a little more um intrigued, and I work a lot on the architectural facades in terms of
Right.
exterior finishes and things like that. And I would like to, uh, I sort of start treating them as compositions. And so the way we look at it is, of course, there's a sense of functionality, form, and things like that. But overall, it's the composition that makes an interest to us. So it's how it's balancing itself, how the material palette is playing, how uh, the lighting is sort of creating an effect. So,
Right.
all these things start making an impact eventually. And then your facades tend to give you a lot of uh, options in terms of how you can create levels, create various styles of architecture. So I would have to go with architectural facades because it's also, I think, a kind of a reflection of what you could see inside because
Right.
you can't walk into any building. So the facade is basically the mirror of what's probably happening inside the complex, and it
Absolutely.
just makes a lot more sense.
Absolutely. I think that's the first point where you get intrigued whether you want to go in or not, right?
Yes.
So that's an interesting take. So how do you manage to maintain like a balance between current design trends? Because you see that everything keeps evolving, and especially as designers, you need to kind of evolve yourselves with every design technology that comes in. And even I think clients come in with this request that we've seen this or we've seen that, and if you would like to incorporate that in your design. So how do you maintain that balance between the design trends and your own design language while working on like a framework for a project?
So, see, most of it is also governed by the aspect of what actually a client desires. And
Right.
um, at the end of the day, you need to strike that balance between what your client wants and what you can deliver.
Right.
Then at the same time, there's a lot of I give a lot of importance to how sunlight and natural light and ventilation is playing to its core, in terms of the fact that I love the fact that we can do nice big glazings on the north side for our climate.
Right.
It just gives you a lot of indirect light,
Right.
and
Right.
you just have huge amount of glass facades without actually, um, inviting heat and increasing your air conditioning loads.
Right.
So, the current design trends, everything I think right now, even if you're looking at a European classical sort of an architecture, you've
Yeah.
got neoclassicals, you've got, a whole lot of these mansions that you see in Italy and the Europe stuff that is all going on. I think it's been evergreen. So a lot of clients are of the view that it's something of a visual that's just been tested through time, and they would
Right.
want to sort of have some sort of a reflection of that. And then
Right.
there are certain people who want to come in with that really innovative, modern straight lines, and uh, bigger windows, bigger glass facades.
Yeah.
So when we're doing a lot of these estate houses, when you've got private estates, the views become unending, and
Yeah.
those are the kind of places where suddenly the glass and these things start playing a very important role.
Right.
So it's I think when we develop these things,
Hmm.
it's more got to do with how we are sort of merging today's requirements in terms of also balancing out how how our buildings are behaving climatologically, and
Right.
then sort of creating a harmony in terms of energy consumption, in terms of the longevity of the building.
Hmm.
So, whole lot of parameters to consider, and we just try and absorb a lot of these materials that are available to us
Right.
to sort of be put in today's context.
Right.
So, like a courtyard in the house has been since time immemorial, but
Yeah.
you can see a lot of versions of it in today's context also.
Absolutely. Right. Right. Yeah, so you have skylights which play a part, and sometimes you have the courtyards that play a part, and there are barrier-free spaces. You can do, I think, multiple things with the glass, particularly. So, commencing on our discussion, since we've already started talking about glass, but talking about its versatility at large, and going on to the theme, which is basically the beauty of glass and its versatility. How does the versatility of glass impact any interior space or interior design? What, according to you, is the take on that?
Uh, Versatility, I mean, glass, we've got so much of development happening
Yeah.
nowadays that we started from a simple uh, clear glass sort of a module
Yeah.
to where we are now sitting, where we've even got privacy glasses where at the touch of a button we are chemically layering ions and converting that clear glass into a complete opaque glass.
Yeah.
So there's been a huge amount of journey, and in the middle you've got whole varieties of these sort of glasses that are just coming for. But at the end of the day, when a person's sort of handling the design and sort of looking for a finish that we are wanting for glass,
Yeah.
then there are, of course, ways of expressing it in terms of the fact that maybe I need a reflective glass.
Hmm.
So that could be even going in terms of the fact that my reflection, if it goes 100%, gets converted into a
Yeah.
mirror. So a mirror is also a
Yeah.
glass. Then,
Yeah.
of course, you are seeing a lot of these metal screens nowadays, which are being sandwiched into glasses, and suddenly realizing so many textures with
Yeah.
fabrics, metal screens. Then, you know, so you can mold the glass in curves. Of course, we've got limitations in our country, but
Yeah.
slowly, we are getting there. We can now starting we in abroad. You've seen a lot of buildings where, and to an extent here also, we've started curving the material. We've
Right.
started it's a little lengthier and a costlier process, but we are slowly getting into those spaces. So, it's now a matter of fact that you can see whole host of forms that can be created in glass, and with the sort of material application that it has,
Yeah.
uh, you've got solar panels and you've got hundreds of things. So it's become almost like an invariable and inevitable sort of an element, which just you just have to start thinking about how and where to put it. You will
Yeah.
find some or the other solution for it. You've got
Right.
lacquered glass for colored finishes. You've got mirrors, reflectives,
Mm.
anything. I mean, so it's there's no limit to the fact that uh, glass can be not used like this and not used like that. And abroad, I'm sure you must have heard about the glass-based swimming pools now that are being
Yeah.
hung 200, 500 feet in the air with
Exactly.
absolutely clear glass sort of a bottom. So it's become like a structural material. It's become an interior material.
Right.
It's everywhere. The glazing now is called a structural glazing. So it's got to a point where we're even thinking of making glass as a permanent sort of a finish.
Right, right. Absolutely. I mean, considering it to be called as, structural, I think that itself is commendable, and it's elevated, how glass was used earlier to what it is being used as now. And that's exactly an apt point that I would say I agree with. So, what are the popular applications? Like we spoke about the versatility of glass. Now, when I talk about applications in different typology of spaces, when I talk about different projects, so what are the popular applications that you have been doing as a designer in terms of the recent works, liner works that you've done?
So, where I left off in the middle, when we're doing these estate houses and
Yeah,
farmhouses,
right,
there we have um, the glass plays a very important role in terms of the fact that the outlook there is at the end of the day to bring the outside visual as part of the inside.
right,
And um, in the plotted development housing in Delhi, we are so close to our neighbors that literally all the time the curtains are drawn and we don't look out.
right, right.
Lack of privacy and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
But in these spaces where you've got, depending on the land pools
Mm,
that you have, you've got
mm.
huge amount of unending visuals that can be just sort of for your own discretion. So it's almost like, we would now create walls which are unending, where we just sort of continue glass as a system so that the outdoor becomes more of a part of the indoor.
Right,
And that I think starts to make a very open house plan. So you can connect a lot of spaces even though they will be individually a little small,
right,
when you connect them with the visual free barrier
right,
and you sort of have the connectivity and the visuality of the fact that you can look through that space into another bigger one,
right.
that volume suddenly starts adding up. So, it just helps you give you that open plan layout where at the you've got foldable glasses, you've got
Mm.
uh, at the touch of a button, you can actually create privacy and open,
Yeah.
and visually you can still be there and connected. So I think it just helps you uh, get out of the small space syndrome where the scale of openness can be just controlled by you.
Right, right, right. So, like you mentioned about residential spaces in Delhi or anywhere, if not Delhi, maybe like an urban planning city or maybe like Mumbai. How do you work with spaces there? Because the idea is when we talk about estate houses, I feel we still get a lot of flexibility. But what about spaces where, where the curtains are drawn at all ends? So, we are trying to make use of that space. So, any popular application that you would suggest in certain spaces which kind of can build a more barrier-free environment, or maybe add more, have more connect with indoor and outdoor for such spaces?
See, we can do that, but of course, at the end of the day, it's all very. um, I should say, site oriented
Right.
to a point that
Right.
we'll need to sort of create those pockets. So if you're creating an indoor courtyard space, even in the smaller houses or the smaller plotted developments in this city, the indoor courtyards now, because of the air conditioning that we require,
Yeah.
need to be sort of surrounded by the fact that you can cover them by glass. So the visual connection of the courtyard being there, you're still enjoying your comfort in
Right.
terms of the weather that you're witnessing
Right.
it in. So those sort of spaces we can create. We, in fact, try and create those indoor spaces with these visuals because what happens is that the amount of light these spaces bring in and the glass that helps to bring that in
Yeah.
helps you illuminate the house to an extent that there are certain places with skylights where you don't even need to switch on electricity during the day. So,
Absolutely. Right.
you save a lot of energy like that.
Yeah.
But of course, on the other side, you're also looking at the fact that there's a lot of heat gain from the skylights.
Yeah.
So it's a small balance that and a small line to work with, but you see the advantages more of what which is giving you and offering you, and then go by it.
Right, right. And what about the aesthetic appeal of such spaces? Does glass add to it or not, according to you?
Of course, I mean, there's no deniability.
Right,
You know, the courtyards and these things, they need to be in your visual appeal.
right,
The as a human being, natural light is something that will always appeal to you, that will always feel mentally, you will always be feeling happy. It's the positive vibes, it's everything, you know. When you've got 2, 3 days of gloomy weather, you suddenly are not up for it, and the brightness just sort of lifts out your spirits.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's the same way. I mean, you know, when you're in a space with which has less light and which has more light, there will be these psychological sort of balances that you will feel and your body feels and reacts to it.
right,
So at the end of the day, I think these spaces, um, the glass has helped them to bring into us. And
right,
in fact, that's the barrier that we have now created between a hot pocket and a cold comfort weather for us. And
right,
that's the space that has actually helped us to sort of open the visuals from the outside, yet be in the confines of our cozy and the cool climate inside and enjoy everything. So there is no doubt about the functionality of it. I mean,
right.
it's
Right, right. Absolutely. Okay. So, we've spoken, we've spoken at large about the positive impacts of glass. Since, you are a person who use design, you use glass at a large extent in your designs literally every day. So like you were talking also about limitations in India about glass. So I would also want you to kind of elaborate that for us, and any challenges that you faced while using glass as a transparent material, or any limitations that you face incorporating glass in interior design, and any suggestions you have in terms of how we can overcome them, or anything that you would like to add to the brand so that they could actually aid the designer in it.
so I think there is a limit on the fact that there's a particular size of glass that can be uh, toughened and sort of laminated in our country. We don't have the technology that a lot of these places and plants in Europe have, where they go for extra large sizes of glass being toughened. There is some sort of limitation to that in our country, and I think I would suggest the companies that are wanting to sort of come out into India that they should sort of now think of establishing those things. Glass curving was something which is still very tedious, still requires a lot of precision, and when you've got international companies who are wanting to venture into India, they should sort of bring out these certain specific products
Right,
which can basically help us as designers even to accomplish more of these things.
right,
Right now, we do feel a sense of limitation and a lot of my architect colleagues will also sort of go by it as to how there is some sense of um, compromise that we've always had to take, given or not. Somewhere or the other, all of us have sort of faced this situation. ये वाला ग्लास नहीं मिलता, ये वाले ग्लास का साइज छोटा है, या
right,
मतलब ये इतना बड़ा है कि हमारे कंट्री में होता नहीं है.
right,
And otherwise, the other thing is that this will cost you such exorbitantly high
right,
that we'll have to import this, do that.
right,
So
right,
I think in areas where all of these things sort of require attention, and someone should sort of bring out the fact that whatever these limitations are,
right,
as designers, we should sort of start thinking how to overcome them in terms of how these companies can help bring us this technology closer to our country.
right. Absolutely. I will really pass this on, and we will have people watching this so that they can take a feedback and get back to you with a solution. Okay. So are there any safety considerations or precautions that need to be kept in mind when you're working with glass in a space? If there are, then what are they? If you can help us with that as well.
See, I think in the interiors, when we are actually putting out clear glass systems, the biggest thing is a lot of times people just walk in into them without realizing that there's a barrier present.
Right.
And we've seen this in so many shop fronts where
Yeah.
accidentally people have just sort of, barged into it and things like
Absolutely.
that. There is a physical sort of a damage that you sort of feel when you're hitting that glass, but uh, imagine if that glass even breaks, it could be so fatal for you.
Absolutely.
So, that is the reason these people have now started this process of strengthening and adding layers. So you've got laminated glass as a security glass, then you've got toughened glass that they already sort of there. But I think with glass vendors, one should always, as a designer, sit with and sort of take into account their recommendations in terms of when we are doing an opening, how big an opening it is, and what sort of recommendation of a glass is coming from them. So I think that is absolutely a must, and especially in the case of children and
Yeah.
even pets at home. I've seen birds coming and hitting an exterior glazing in my in a
Wow.
farm that I did,
Yeah.
and that bird just fell down, and there was nothing that happened to the glass. But the point is that strengthening of glass is very important.
Absolutely.
Um, that is something that you should be careful of. And then when we're using a lot of this glass as a railing element
Right.
in terms of the interiors also, wherever we've got these double height spaces, we've got glass railings put
Yeah.
even in
Yeah.
balconies.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these places we need to be very sure how the glass is being anchored properly in terms of how we are trying to sort of capture it. That has to have the strength for a person leaning on it also to not give way.
Yeah.
So all these areas need to be sort of very practically seen, understood, and I think a good glass consultant should be there with you, who sort of recommends you as to what you're achieving and how it is possible or not possible to achieve, and follow their uh, suggestions.
Absolutely, absolutely agree with you. And I think safety is key, and that should be kept at prime importance and taken forward through there. All right. So, talking about glass, having an ability to interact with light, because usually we use it for getting the natural light inside and having an outdoor and indoor connect. So, how do you think that a reflective property of glass can be harnessed to kind of create a captivating lighting effect environment in like an interior space?
Uh, Reflectiveness, see, if there are spaces where when you create a skylight in a space, what you're basically bringing in is a lot of natural light.
Right.
But depending on the scale, with that, you're also bringing in a lot of direct sun into the space, which means that you will be considering a lot of air conditioning cost
Right.
for cooling out that space.
Right.
So when you need to sort of create more light into the spaces, when you add mirrors, when you add um, reflective glasses, these spaces tend to start appearing bigger. They tend to start appearing reflecting a lot of light. And once they do that, the space feels a lot more airy, breathable, and just makes you realize that, so when you're doing panelings, you can do panels in glass, you can do panels in lacquered glass, you can do panels in reflective glasses. In even in terms of the exterior facade, these reflective glasses ward off a lot of sun. So when I'm using it on a skylight, I can actually layer it with a solar film, prevent all these things.
Yeah.
Then you've got these the special glasses where even uh, the the glass surface in itself becomes a solar conductor
Right.
and
Right.
helps you gain and produce solar electricity, while in the same time gives you shading towards the inside of the premises. So all of these areas, I think, glass is able to help us in terms of uh, sort of create all of these abilities to sort of uh, give
Right.
light, create, uh, create all these um, helping us climatologically, and then uh, conserving electricity.
Right, right. Absolutely. So, since we are talking about the glass has helped us in various ways, how, according to you, has it evolved in time? We spoke about how it started with like a basic clear glass to now the various typologies and various versatilities that it holds. But have you observed any emerging trends or shifts, especially in terms of the popularity of usage right now?
Of course, I mean, as I said, glass bottom swimming pools. I mean, who would
Right,
have ever thought?
right,
You,
right,
we've seen. I went somewhere where I saw a staircase completely made of glass steps.
right,
So you've got floors of glass. Then the it's just unimaginable. You've actually started to treat it almost like as a substitute for stone flooring, as a substitute uh, for structural glazing is another example. So, what started and even a simple thing like a car windshield about 100 years ago used to break, and now where you are in terms of using it even at your steps
yeah,
and walking all over it, and glass bottom swimming pools. I mean, where the is replacing concrete for that matter, holding that much amount of water. So it's the evolution of glass is just one of the materials that has actually started from nothing to achieve everything.
right,
And we used to see just small windows with glazings. Now suddenly we are looking at skyscrapers with just glass and nothing else. So, and then the way it has evolved is it's just mind-boggling.
right. Right, true. So, talking about the versatility again, we will sum it up with another last question that I have from you, which is talking about that which, according to you, are the varying materials that glass works well with. So, in terms of, any other material that you work it with, I'm sure that, we have to frame the glass in certain situations. We kind of mix materials and we use it. So, according to you, which are the best materials that glass works well with?
Metal, no
Right,
doubt about it. All sorts of metal. It reacts beautifully with any sort of flame. Aluminium is doing good with it. Stainless steel is doing so good with it. You've got even brass, which is going good with it. Then you're already using a lot of fabrics to create textures for
right,
the interiors. So people are sandwiching and stretching those, fabrics and sort of creating textures
right,
and then sort of anchoring them and using them as a screen. And then you've got uh, we've created pivot doors in glass. So, wood again beautifully merges. We've looked at French windows for God knows how long,
Yeah.
and you see those French windows everywhere wherever you go in Europe, and
Right.
they've got sort of then they've got tiny little detail of beveling around those
Yeah.
French windows, and those sort of small little details, so wood goes very well, metal screens go very well, metal goes very well. Then there's fabrics that are merging with it. Uh, I think
I
more or less that's it. I think these are the best that go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we've got a lot of expansive knowledge about glass now. It can be in multiple ways, and I think the audience loved having you as much as I did. Thank you for joining us. We are here because of Sissy Jam Flat Glass India, and it is Europe's #1 glass producer. Thank you so much for joining us, and it was lovely to have you. This is architect Himani Ahuja. I'm the co-founder of One Digital. We are creative conceptualizers. We conceptualize and create, engaging statements, and we push various barriers of PR and communications for architects, designers, and brands, and we move forward. Thank you for coming in for Design Reflections. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Nani.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.